fear, there's the financial fears, but there's also my not setting aside time to like invest into researching how to go. Like right now, I pay my assistant with a check with a 1099 plan, but hiring an employee, talking to a professional about how I go about these steps in terms of my business and insurance and all those things. It's like a lot of the business stuff I kind of put off. And so it's a matter of really like setting aside time to be able to focus on these tasks, which are big things, but I keep putting them off because I'm like, I need to get this painting out. I need to get these things out to my dealers. Like I'm not prioritizing it. So it's both financial fear, but also just the headache of setting aside that time, which is totally not creative. It's purely just research and having to remind myself that even though I feel like I'm not doing anything, I am doing those things. So yeah, like it kind of goes hand in hand with my goals of like slowing down, being more deliberate and focused, and reminding myself that in the end, I will end up being more productive if I just kind of like follow the path instead of bouncing all around, chasing every squirrel that, comes within view.
I'm actually in the process of hiring my second person, and I put it off for months and months and months and months, even though I knew that was what was going to give me more time and space and energy. And I finally said, I'm tired of this. What are you doing? Just go do it. That's going to give you all the things that you want just by prioritizing that little thing. I'm not supposed to be coaching, but I had to say that real quick. Then we'll get to the tools. Love. And then Alexandra, what's the block that is keeping you from all the things that you want?
It's a mix of I haven't been trusting myself or believing really that I deserve it. I have had a business advisor very recently tell me that I'm selling myself way short, that I need to increase my prices by multiples and that they seem a bit sus. And then it kind of also goes along with like what Cameron was saying, where I've spent so much time on one side that I haven't spent enough on the other side. So for me, it's been the office. I've been in the office trying to do the social media and trying to do all of that. Because like I said, I don't have that person for that, that I haven't been able to spend as much time in my studio and I haven't been able to create or show as much.
I will also say, when you do increase those prices, it will give you more time. It will give you more resources. It will give you more of all the things you need to get more. Coming back to that too. Alex, do you want to go?
Sure. So I also, that's a good point. Love, I need to increase my prices too. And I have been steadily kind of working toward that because I'm just stretched too thin. I mean, I also worry about the financial aspect. And because I do this full time and I do traveling to anime and comic conventions to sell my artwork all over the country. And then I'm always feeling like, oh, but I also need to do online sales and like do the social media thing. And so I desperately probably do need an assistant because I also need to have time to actually create more. But then worrying about, can I afford to do that? And how do I go about that? And, trusting, finding someone that you can trust, like with, your accounts, like your social media and stuff. But like, do I want to hire someone to do like bookkeeping and stuff? Like, I don't know, you just want to find good resources for that. And referrals are probably the best way to go. And I'm sure, and I know I have a community of artists here that can help me find those things. But
Right.
but yeah, gosh, I totally spaced. Did I answer that well enough?
Yeah, I think honestly, trust in yourself and that you can hold change is one of the biggest, hardest lessons, but also one of the most powerful. When I heard my first person, like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I don't think I can afford her. And when she raised her prices, I was like, oh, I don't think I can afford her. And when I raised her hours, I was like, oh, I don't think I can afford her. And yet I trusted, I need this. She needs me. We need each other. She is like my other half at the moment. And if I did not have that, I wouldn't be able to do what I was doing. So I am putting trust and faith, which is kind of a scary thing, right? Because it's not this concrete, I can see it, I know everything is going to work. But when it's about deciding. I decide I can hold it. I decide I need this. I decide this is what's going to get me what I want. So the first tool is knowing what you actually want. I'm going to give you a hint. It's not money. No one actually said money. I expected some people to say some money. Love kind of did. Alex kind of did. June did. Okay. Thank you for being honest, June. I appreciate that. And I also want to say there is nothing, underline, nothing wrong with money. Wanting money does not make you greedy. Wanting money does not make you a bad person. Wanting money, all these things we tell ourselves about money, just scratch them out of your head right now. We're not going to go through a course on money mindset, but money is a tool. Money will get you the things that you want. So I want you to write down 3 words, how you want to feel. You might have already, like some people have like a word of the year. Maybe that's one of them. But how do you want to feel? My words are love, support, and spaciousness. What are yours? Take I'll give you another 60 seconds to, don't overthink it. Go with your gut instinct here.
What was your third word?
My third word, spaciousness.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's trust, grounded, expansive, inspired, valued. I'm just going off of the people who have their video on. Most of you look done. So June in the comments said something about busy work and chasing your tail. And Monique said, I want to know when I'm following the squirrels and when I'm being positively creative. These 3 words are your new filter. Okay. I want you to filter every single decision that you make through these words. Does it give me this, this, and this? This, and this? Alex, what are your words?
Let's see. Mine are apparently relaxed, content, inspired, but then I added productive. But I feel like relaxed and content could probably just be content. Because like a lot of people view content as like maybe you're not moving forward, you're just happy with the way things are. But like that's also I want to be content in like how I'm running my business or how like my day to day is. And, not just like reaching for something else in a stressed way constantly, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
Content with like how business is going, things like that.
So next time you think, should I do this or this? Ask about both of them. Are they going to make me content and inspired and relaxed? If the answer is no, don't do it. Find some other way. We know so far, we know what we want and we know our filter. That's going to get you real far just by itself. If you can listen to that and stop listening to all the outside noise saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. So-and-so said to do this. If I don't do this, then X, Y, and Z is going to fall apart. It's what do we want? And is it going to make us feel the way that we want to feel? So when you feel that, you can start to amplify that and get it more and more and more. You have to pay attention to what you want and not follow the squirrels. Following the squirrels, you're going to go off into all these, I'm being productive, but not getting anything done. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling uninspired. I'm just going to look at the messages real quick. Peaceful, happy, and engaged. Ooh, love it. Grounded, abundant, and nurtured. Those are so good. I love those words. Cameron, what were your words?
It's interesting what Alex said was interesting because it touched upon, my first word was supported, but I was thinking about more in terms of being more supportive of myself, less self-critical, less pointing out the things that I haven't done and more so. And Alex kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of when she said the word content, that resonated with me because in my goals of being more supportive, I'm hoping to feel a greater sense of contentment and like having a sense of peace, knowing that I'm doing everything that I need to be doing. I'm doing all that I'm capable of doing, and anything else that I'm not doing, it's okay. And it's going to be okay. My second word is inspired in terms of just feeling continually driven and it's inspired and kind of in that float. And then my last one, so the first two are kind of internal. My last one is more external. I realized like that I have this feeling of wanting to be acknowledged, understood, and validated, which is more external. And I think that comes from a desire to have my work have a greater reach, be represented by higher end galleries and art dealers, feeling like the people who are selling my work really believe in what I do and acknowledge, because so much of what I do, it's as what everybody, it's so much hard work. And it's like this, some days it's, I feel defeated in how hard I work and and then sometimes not feeling that external validation. And so I think that I need the internal validation, but also I can't deny the fact that in terms of my own goals for my career, I do seek a kind of greater validation and acknowledgement in terms of what I've been doing and have committed to for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's both like a self-supportive contentment and inspiration, and then this kind of more external acknowledgement.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
You can't control the external. So I would love to see you flip that word to something like understood, which is similar, but you have more control over that. Like you can reach out to people who have a higher probability of understanding you. You can work with galleries who you feel like get you and get your work, and look for those kinds of opportunities. But when you put the word validated on there, or is that the word you used? Yeah. Okay. When you put the word validated on there, it's like you're constantly going to be chasing something and you have no control over that. We want these words to be something that we can create in our lives. So not that that is a wrong thing to want, but it's not going to help us get there by having that word. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think part of my own problem is actually feeling like I can control it. Like feeling like, oh, if I could do X, Y, and Z, I could make a greater impact in this way. Like, I feel like part of my own challenges is actually letting go and telling myself like that I actually can't control. Like, I think in some ways I realize my own power and my own capabilities and my own potential, but that also gets in the way of me having any sort of deeper satisfaction with what I do, because I'm thinking that I can, I want to be superwoman every day, and I need to just like let go of that.
Or go ahead and be superwoman every day, but on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be superwoman every day. The first part so I was going to get to this, but I want you to make an affirmation out of these 3 words for yourself that you can repeat over and over, that you can put on your wall, that you can put on your phone screensaver. So not only is it going to help you make decisions, but it's also going to help you see where you've already got it. And that's going to attract more of that. So my affirmation is, I am the empress of my own domain. It's not a little word. It's a big word. It's a superwoman word. And I'm going to own that. I don't have any problem with using big, powerful, womanly words. And I think you should too. The second half of that is, my life is full of love, support, and spaciousness, and I inspire others to have the same. I have that written on my wall this big. I say it to myself at least 3 times a day. I write it down every day, over and over and over and over, and it creates my reality. You have the power to create your own reality. Love, you want to tell me your words?
So I'm feeling so much of what Cameron said, but I'm kind of looking for consistent, and not just consistent in what I'm putting out there, but also what I'm doing. Like you said, not chasing the squirrel, chasing real creativity. And then that leads to meaningful. The things that I'm doing, I want them to mean something, not just to everybody else, but to me. I want it to be something that really is from my soul, and not just, oh, well, here's this piece of, subject matter that I'm going to do, and that piece because this is trending. I need it to be meaningful. And then that will lead to a feeling of security, to feeling the consistency and the meaningfulness will make me feel secure in what I'm doing, as well as hopefully lead to security and finances and all the other things.
I don't think that people can connect to your work unless it comes from your soul. And connection sells the most work. That's not to say that if you make a pretty painting that doesn't mean anything to you, but you just liked it, that doesn't mean it's not going to sell. That's not what I'm saying. But in order for you to really feel all the ways that you want to feel, and to most people that are around in my sphere want to feel a sense of connection to the people who are buying their art, and know that it's not just a product that is going out, it's something more than that. It's deeper. There is something extremely fulfilling in being able to connect with the people who are buying your art and know that they connect with your art and what you are trying to say and who you are. Is there anyone who doesn't feel that way? Just out of curiosity. Kristen, probably you. Just kidding. Cameron?
I was just going to say, so this is a little bit like off the topic a little bit, but this reminds me of like one of the things that hooked me to join this. You posted a video talking about like being able to do this big thing that you want to do, and talking about like, I don't know if I made this story in my own head, but one of my own realizations is like my own desires in terms of looking at my profit margins and being a profitable business and growing every year. I sometimes make too many decisions based on my business. So like, I would love to order some bigger canvases and go like, and just like go for it with some really huge pieces. But the rational business mind of mine says, not until I actually use the canvases that are currently in my studio. And so I realized that like the business part, like as we, the challenges of it running a business and being creative, I realized, and where this, some of the comments that hit home for me is like, in my desires of being a profitable business, that also hinders my ability to maintain or push myself into a new dimension, because I think that it's not a wise business decision versus just saying, fuck it, I'm just going to do this for me. And I actually, in some ways, I think have to tell myself, I'm not going to sell this. This is not about selling. I'm actually doing this. Like, it's a totally irrational business decision. I'm going to spend a lot of money doing this thing and it's okay. And like, let go of selling. And I think like putting yourself into a different place. So yeah, just when you were saying that, it made me realize that like the business part in some ways it's such a hindrance, because we have to like ironically forget about selling to make great work, which then ends up selling because we're not thinking about selling. It's this mind game that we all have to play with ourselves, I think.
I love that you said that. I had an intensive, which I don't do a lot of, but I had an intensive with my friend Kristen, who is here, not too long ago. And that's what we spent 4 hours talking about was how this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece were making her all her money, but she wanted to sell this piece because this is where her soul was. Do you mind if I talk about this? Is this okay? Okay.
Go right ahead, please. It was so helpful.
And essentially what ended up happening is we discovered by the end of the call that the reason she wasn't selling any of this is because she knew she was making her money here. So that's what she was doing her marketing and her focusing on. And she was like hiding this. And you can't possibly sell anything that you're hiding. I know that for a fact. I've tried. So many people will come to me and say, I'm not selling any XYZ. And I'm like, okay. So then I'll go look at their website, their Instagram. Guess what? You can barely find it. So I don't know if that's where you were going with that, Cameron, but in order to do the thing you really want to do, you have to do the thing you really want to do. If you know what I'm saying. Which leads to tool number 2, the matrix tool. Does anybody like the matrix? Am I the only one? Please, somebody say you like the matrix. I know it's probably not the right audience for that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so there is this part in the movie where the guy goes, do you want to take the red pill or do you want to take the blue pill? Right? Everybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. So the red pill is reality. It's what you know you can do, you think you can do, other people tell you can do, your brain tells you can do. Also, all the constructs that we create. I can't do this until I have painted all the canvases that I already have. I can't do this because I don't know if it's going to sell. I can't do this because all the reasons. Okay, so just for a second, I'm gonna take another 60 seconds. Think about that thing you want and tell me, or write down, or just brainstorm for a second, all the reasons why you can't. We kind of did this, but just go a little bit deeper. I'm gonna read the chat. Okay, so all those reasons that you're thinking about in writing, that's that red pill. So what if you decide to look at things completely differently and take away all of those reasons you just told yourself you couldn't, or you should, or whatever you just said, and take the what if I can? Or not even what if I can, but I know I can. See the difference? What if I can't versus what if I can? Now write down 3 reasons or 3 things that might happen if you did. Am I making sense? Am I being clear? Anybody not understand? Okay. All right, now I'm going to tell you that you don't have to believe me, but the reasons why you can't and the reasons why you can are equally as likely to happen. It's a hard reality. So if you choose to take actions based on what if I can't, you can't. 95% not going to happen. If you choose to take the actions based on you can, there's a real good chance it's going to work out, and it's actually just going to kind of magically appear. It's going to feel magically, but it's not. It's just you choosing a different reality. Gaia, can I use you as an example for a minute? Is that okay? So Gaia just joined I'm going to call it my mastermind. That's the easiest way to explain it. Joined my mastermind a little bit ago. And when she joined, she was like, you know what? I just want to sell consistent 1,500 a month. And I was like, okay, well, why can't you? And she told me why she couldn't. And then we talked about, well, how could you? And she told me all the ways that she could or wanted to, the ways that felt right for her. And then she went and did it. And then she doubled or tripled that. I forget which one. Went way above and beyond her goal, just like that. It wasn't even hard. Granted, there's still the mindset stuff. It's not that it just completely goes away, but you can choose to do things differently and they'll work. Not every single time, but if you choose it and choose it and choose it, it will work. Has anyone else had that experience where you just decide differently? You take different actions, You say, I'm not going to be scared of that. I'm not, or maybe I'm still going to be scared of that, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to make this business decision that I don't think really makes sense, but it feels right in my heart or in my mind or my gut or wherever you get your information from. I'm a gut person. I say gut a lot. Kristen, you raising your hand. You want to talk?
Yeah, I can talk. I mean, this is just after we talked and we had the holidays and everything kind of came out. And I realized, like, at the end of the day, I was hiding from what I really wanted to do. And just letting go of that, and also allowing people to come to me and not being afraid of the sale. And so in the past month, I've sold like 4 large paintings because I stopped sabotaging it. And like one person was like, I can't do the original, but I would love a big print. And so we're making it happen. And so I don't know, it was just interesting to see how much I was like, it was easier for me to just feel shame about the inventory piling up in my studio than it was to like let it go. But now that it's happening, like, oh my gosh, like this feels so good. And now it's like I feel like I have the space to make something new and to believe in that a little bit more. So
thank you for saying that, because I've meant to say that also. It's an exponential effect. You do it, you prove to yourself, oh, I could just do it. End of story. It works. And then you're like, oh, that worked. Okay. And then you can just do it again. And then it works again. And then you prove I can do it again and again and again. And that creates this exponential growth. When I say growth, I mean working toward the thing that you want, or getting the things that you want, and setting higher goals. What else? There was something else I wanted to say about that. Oh, just so we can all, you want to tell me the other thing you just said in my messages, not more than 24 hours ago?
the bigger one, the one that was like my life dream. Okay, so this is just a testament to Jessica's like philosophy on connection, and like it's kind of this nebulous thing, but I was in the military prior to this, and I left, and one kind of like declaration I made to myself was, if I'm not going to be the person making these decisions, then I want my art to be where people make big decisions. Like there's just something really intangible about that to me, to like inspire those leaders, remind them who they serve. And so I really wanted my work like in the White House or in the Pentagon or at embassies, because of that like connection. And I'm just going to say it and then move on with my life. But my work is currently at a museum in my college. And I didn't do any of this. This was just people who like connected with the work, connected with me. And I just got a call last week. This is kind of low key, like this isn't official yet, so I won't tell it all outside the script. But the Secretary of the Navy is going to keep 2 paintings in his office in the Pentagon. And one's a self-portrait of me, which was like, oh my God, like that's it. Like he gets it. And so I couldn't believe it when it happened. And it was kind of like, yeah, like when all the people start buying into it, it was amazing that it actually happened. I never thought it would. So
I'm so happy for you. So amazing. Okay. Seriously, guys, whether you believe me or not, please just try it. Red pill, blue pill. Okay. Does everybody, when I say that, does everyone have an action step for their blue pill? Does anyone not? I told you in the email the email reminder, I'm going to change your trajectory, but I can only do it if you do this step. Okay. Blue pill. Number three tool. This is the easy button tool. I love the easy button tool. Okay, so the thing that you want, I was actually, when I wrote this, I was assuming that all of you were going to want something to do with selling something, which was not the case, but we can adapt. But first I'm going to do it how I wrote it down to teach it. So if you are looking to make more sales, let's just say, because everybody wants to make more sales, so let's do that real quick. There are 3 parts to marketing. I will say them over and over and over. People have to know you exist, building their relationships. Would a record of this be available for download? Except for the first part, forgot to hit record. Sorry. And selling. You have to let people know what you have and that it's for sale and why they should buy it. Okay, so we've got 3 parts. Making people aware, relationships, selling. So when you are thinking about that thing you want, I want you to look around you. What are the opportunities you already have available that you are probably ignoring because they seem too easy? How can you let more people know about what you're doing? I'll give you a personal example. I, for years, have been ignoring my personal Facebook account. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to just pretend it didn't exist for whatever reason. Crap in the head, that kind of stuff. I have an Instagram account, I have a newsletter, I have Pinterest, I have all the things, but my personal Facebook, I did not want to post on. I can almost guarantee you a couple of the people here are here because I posted on my personal Facebook page. I'm looking around it. Who do I know from Facebook and who do I know from Instagram? So that was an easy button. All I did was copy and paste my newsletter that I send out onto my Facebook page. My Facebook, what are they called? Not my page, but like my account. We'll call it my account. And a couple of people are here because I posted on the account. It took me 5 seconds, literally 5 seconds. That was an easy button. More people knew I existed because of it, or this business and what I do and who I am existed because of it. How can you easily nurture some of the relationships around you that maybe would connect to your art or have already connected to your art? How can you reach out and just have a touch point? Hey, how's it going? What are you up to? How's your kids? Promote something that they're doing. Think about your love languages. Send them a little thoughtful something. Give them a compliment. Whatever. Doesn't have to be big. Doesn't have to be hard. Remember, this is the easy button. Selling. Usually the easiest easy button for selling 95% of the time is saying, hey, this thing is for sale. I know a lot of people that don't do that. And then when they do, they go, Jessica, they bought my stuff. And I'm like, yeah, because they knew it was for sale. Easy. Okay, so think about what you want, why you're telling yourself you can't get it, and we're going to flip that over to how you can get it, and then how can you make it even easier to get? We don't have to overcomplicate things. Sales can be easy, I promise. Okay, so thinking about the easy button for other things, such as hiring an assistant. Maybe you need to find someone and start them out. This is not really relevant to you, Cameron, because you already have this, but for 5 hours a week or 5 hours a month even, just to take some of the pressure off and say, okay, I can hold paying someone 5 hours a month. Alex, you say you wanted maybe some professional help for your bookkeeping. Part of what you had to do was just decide, I want professional help for my bookkeeping, and someone sent you a reference in the chat. Sometimes it's that easy. It's about making that decision that, yes, I am going to move forward, and shutting down the other side of the coin. So if I said, yes, I want to hire someone, and I'm probably going to do it, and I'm going to put out some feelers, but I'm going to give myself lots of outs, that's not a decision. That's not a decision to move forward. That's a wishy-washy. That's sending mixed signals. That's not going to get you anywhere fast. When you say, yes, I am going to do this, you can have it done in no time. What were some of the other things people wanted? Anybody? I'm opening it up to everybody. Raising it. Cameron, your hands up.
I have a question. Like, I don't, in terms of hiring a more full-time assistant where I would like, where they're working beyond, like, so from what I understand is like, if you hire an assistant, you can do the whole 1099 as long as their hours aren't exactly the same every week. Like if they're fluctuating, it's okay. Like they can, you can pay them like a consultant type situation. I'm feeling like not knowing where to start in terms of hiring somebody who's going to be working more hours per week on a regular routine basis in terms of like that's
I don't know the all the rules, but I feel like it's 25 hours a week is
Okay.
the cutoff point. You're going to have to ask somebody else to know that for sure. Don't take my word for it.
yeah,
But that's still significantly more than you have right now.
right.
So what I would say is if we're going with our easy button tool here, that keeps things the easiest and still gives you more of what you need to where you can try that out and see, is this enough or do I need more? And then you can make the next decision from there.
Right.
But it's when we jump 5 spaces in front of ourselves. Well, I want more help. Okay, well, I need to figure out how to hire someone full-time, and then how do I get benefits? And then how much health insurance do I have to pay? And blah, 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 blah. That's when it gets too hard and you shut it down and you don't do it.
Okay.
So what's the easiest next step? Does that help? Yeah. The other easiest next step is to look at your, most states have a, what is it called? Small business association. Usually you can just call them up and they'll give you free advice. Like Google the number on the internet. You could have that done by end of day today. Just to verify what I said and then go from there. It's about one decision at a time. Anybody else want to jump in here, even if we haven't been using you as an example? Might just call on somebody because we got 8 more minutes. Deborah, I was gonna call on you.
I felt
There you
that,
go.
I guess. So
I was looking at you.
I'm in a really different place. 30 years as a working artist and working in the arts, and the last 10 years, I was working in arts and healthcare, and my own practice just really fell away. And since I was working in hospitals, started out working with patients, and then things changed from that. And I was doing purchasing and installing exhibits and running exhibits, like rotating exhibits in a couple of hospitals. And then COVID came and kind of shut that all down. And the grace of that was I realized how absolutely, totally burned out that I was. And so it's been 2 years now, and I can't make myself go in my studio. So there's my whole identity as a, in my whole career, I'm just kind of lost, and I've tried
What
to.
were the words you wrote down? What do you want and how do you want to feel?
Just say peaceful, happy, and engaged.
What makes you feel those things?
Not feeling anxiety about what I'm doing or not doing. That would be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a different question.
Peaceful is
looking back on all the things that you've done, because your career's kind of done one of those, as most of ours has.
Mm-hmm.
What of those things gave you the most peace and happiness?
Working on my own artwork in my studio, and then working bedside with patients and helping them engage their own creativity in a time of stress. So those 2 things gave me the
I'm
most.
all about multi-passionate, but because you are at this kind of junction where you're trying to figure something out, I'm going to ask,
Okay.
of those two, which one brought you the most peace and happiness?
Oh, there was different times in my life. So,
Or which one do you think might give you that now? Let's change the question a little. Is it that you don't know the answer, or that it's scaring you, for lack of a better word?
I think I want to say my own artwork, but I think maybe the other, and the other is not something I'm willing to go back and do again. So
I personally was feeling your own artwork too. Not because for any other reason other than when you said it, I felt that more. Sometimes I feel like the thing that we're resisting the most, or we're the most scared of, is going to give us all the things that we want. Not sometimes, most of the time. And I feel like there's a block, a reason why you feel like you're having trouble getting back to it. And sometimes it's because we think we're not ready for that, or what if it doesn't work, or what if I lose myself because XYZ happens and I tried and it doesn't.
Selling work again.
Well, who said anything about selling work?
Well,
I've
been
sell
listening
work
to that here. That's what my husband keeps telling me. It's like, you never have to sell another piece of work if you don't want to. But then I'm like, well, then what will I do with it? Just be crowding out my studio, or
give it to people in the hospital.
You're right. Give it away.
I could care less if you want to sell artwork or not. If that is something you truly, deeply desire, then you should. If you don't, you really shouldn't. It's going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, it pretty much has.
Cameron, want to say something?
Thinking, like, putting myself in your shoes and what would be helpful for me if I were you. I find that, like, taking a class and a workshop versus putting the pressure on yourself to go to your studio and try to come up with an idea of what you're going to do. And starting is often the hardest thing. Like, just making something is what's going to send you on, give you your flow. And I think sometimes taking a class or a workshop where you don't have to make any decisions, like they tell you what to do, and then all of a sudden you're making work again. And then from that, you kind of are sent on, like a journey. It's going to lead your nose somewhere. So if it's possible, I would recommend trying to take a class or a workshop or something, and maybe something that you've never done before in a medium that you've never done, so that you're not getting bogged down and being self-critical, so that you're really it's all about exploring and learning something new and just seeing where it goes, and not putting any pressure on yourself in terms of having to create anything. It's just about learning a new process. I find that can be super inspiring and helpful in terms of just starting, which is the hardest thing.
Yeah, I resonate with that. Thank you. In 2020, I did sign up for a few online classes. Then I excuses and just feeling like I'm comparing. But one of the things in reflecting back that I've seen, that I spent so many years as a sculptor, and then I got really bored. And I have switched to painting, and then thinking maybe it's time again just to switch, because if my painting's not calling me, maybe there's something else that would hook in there. And, it's just, I believe so much in the power of the creative process to know ourselves and to heal ourselves and to, touch into something bigger than ourselves. So to not do that, when that's something I've taught for years as well, just, I miss that relationship with myself, I think.
I love everything Cameron said. I completely agree. And I feel like you need to release the pressure on yourself.
Thank
As
you.
my friend Jess Velarde would say, go ahead, say it.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, make some crap.
Yeah, make bad art. I need to make those t-shirts.
Yeah.
No, what I was gonna say, Deborah, I haven't seen your work, so I don't know what your process is normally like, but I recently kind of I just finished my MFA, so I burnt myself out pretty bad. And then I like hustled to launch a collection release and like all of this, and I just completely crashed and really struggled to kind of get myself back in the studio. And what I'm finding that's working for me now, so I'm just now kind of starting to come back after another like tough season, is that instead of doing my normal kind of practice and my normal, I guess, process, I'm doing things that I can take in really, really tiny bite size. So rather than having to stand in front of the canvas and make big decisions about composition and flow and these big things and have to make those big creative decisions in the moment, that feels way too overwhelming for me. And so I'm instead leaning into the pieces where they're still big but they're complicated. And I have to look at like one brush stroke at a time, because I literally can't do the whole thing at once because it's too big, it's too complicated. So it sort of has this reverse, I'm like hacking it and going in the back door and just doing one next step at a time that I almost don't have to think about. And so if there's anything about your practice, and I love that idea of doing another medium to like completely work around this, but where you can just get your hands making, because that's the way back, that will, like Cameron said, that will absolutely bring you back to it before you know it. But what are the easy buttons for that? What are the easy buttons to get yourself just making something and just moving your hands and just in the studio or out of it, and if you can do
And
that,
even, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just,
no, you're good. I was done.
Even an easy button than taking a class with somebody could be getting a coloring book, or like, I don't know, braiding a couple pieces of yarn together, just something to get you back to where you're starting to feel like in the flow just a little bit. And I would highly recommend a class too. I think that was beautiful advice. I know a couple people, I'm looking around, at least one person in here teaches classes. If anyone wants to volunteer their services, you can do so in the chat.
Thank you so very much, everyone, for this time and attention. I appreciate it.
Isn't it lovely to have a group of support? So much better than just having one person. I think a group is way powerful.
Just banging on the red button all the time. Much better.
So, okay, you got your 3 tools, but you have to use them or they will not help you. Okay, know what you actually want. And those are the feelings. The money is the tool to the feelings, but the feelings are what you actually want. You're going to use the matrix tool, which is choosing not to listen to all the reasons why you can't and listen to all the reasons why you can, changing your reality, essentially. I'm going to say it's not hard. Of course, it's a little bit hard to make that initial decision, but once you do, it can start to be easy. And then number 3, the easy button. What's the easiest possible way that I can make this happen? Everybody got it? Are you going to go change your life? I need a thumbs up or a something. Does everybody know what they're going to do? Like, do you have your action plan in your head? Yes, no, maybe so. Anybody not? No, Deborah. Okay, Deborah, buy a coloring book and then sign up for an art class. Those are your action plans. Anybody else not? Gaia, you are my mastermind. We're going to have a chat together later since we're over. Anybody else? No? Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. Did I miss anything important in the chat? I don't think so. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you all for coming. If you ever have any questions about, hey, I'm interested in working with you, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's the easiest way for us to chat. And we'll wrap up. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. See you guys later.